Welcome to Shattering Myths, the program devoted to the largest segment of our society, to those who know that all of the religious institutions in the world are corrupt, that they are counterproductive, as are all political schemes, economic schemes, and military institutions, that they have become counterproductive, they were never worth anything in the beginning, and that they cannot be fixed. If you are counted among them, please call us. If you're not, please challenge us. Our number is toll-free, 877-300-7645. Typically, we begin with the news. Today is Friday, and we have al-Rassooli here today, and we have a treat for you in the second hour. Although I have not spoken to IQ about the topic, my guess is that he is on it. Al-Baghdadi. Scott, do you know what al-Baghdadi's occupation is? What is he schooled in? He is actually a scholar, but of what subject?
I just learned this morning. An imam. He's an imam.
Yeah, he's an imam. He's educated as an Islamic scholar. He is an imam, which is the religious leader of Muslims. And he gave a sermon yesterday, or released a sermon yesterday. And that sermon is an accurate presentation of Islam. It will be impossible for the President of the United States to disassociate the Islamic State from Islam for anyone who reads what he had to say, and we will begin our review of it in the second hour. But in the first hour, we're going to return to where we were yesterday. It became apparent for the first time, at least for me, yesterday, and then perhaps some the day before, that Yahowah's Olivet Discourse was a treatise not only on religion, which I had thought the 23rd chapter of Matanya means Yahowah's gift. He was one of the learners, or to transliterate the bogus Greek title, a disciple of Yahowah. I recognized, of course, that Matanya 23 is from beginning to end Yahowah's single largest rant. It is him being overtly judgmental and exposing and condemning all of the reasons that he despises religion and religious leaders. And so I thought that he was simply making a transition in Matanya 24 and was going to speak about the last days. But that's not where he begins. What did we learn yesterday, Kirk?
Well, we learned that he really, his first thing that he told them was not what they were probably expecting. He told them to take heed that they do not be misled, which is, then he goes on and talks about who's doing the.
And it was being misled about what was the transitional topic?
Well, they asked him how the end will come, and he was.
Yeah, before that there was a transitional topic. Let me read it to you because the context here is really important, and then we can go on from there.
Okay.
He said, "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem." He didn't say, "Oh, Rome, oh, Rome."
No.
He didn't say, "Oh, Babylon, oh, Babylon." He, through as Yahowah, spoke about America and says, "Woe to America" in Isaiah, Yahshua. But he doesn't say, "Woe to the capital of America." No. "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her." So he's telling these religious leaders, because he's still concluding at this point his diatribe against religion. And he says, these religious leaders, they give lip service to God, their God, but my prophets my messengers, they don't listen to. In fact, they are so opposed to what I have to say through my prophets and messengers, they killed them. So he's disassociating the religion of Judaism from the Torah, prophets, and Psalms, isn't he?
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it would be impossible not to count the Torah scribed by Moshe among the book of prophets, because the Torah is filled with prophecy, including the prophecy that of his arrival. All right? As Yahowah in diminished form as a man who kills the prophets and stones those who were sent to her. How often I've wanted to gather your children together, the way the hen gathers her cheeks under her wings, and you were unwilling. The reference to a mother bird gathering in her babies. Why do you think a man would use a reference of a mother bird?
Well, the set-apart spirit is often thought of in terms of a mother who nourishes and takes care of the children. So,
yeah, as a matter of fact, it begins actually in the Bereshit Genesis account when Yahowah was talking about the influence of his spirit on creation, and he uses the term that's related to a mother bird.
Right.
And he equates his ruach, which is a feminine noun in Hebrew, to the feminine, the maternal aspect of his light.
That's absolutely true.
And so the only thing that makes this particular Son of Man the diminished manifestation of Yahowah on earth is the set-apart spirit.
Right, which is feminine.
It's feminine.
Yeah.
Right. And is the Son and the set-apart spirit, are they different personas?
It's the same voice in different form.
Yeah. A different manifestation of the same spirit. Yahowah is one. Yahowah as one can manifest part of himself, set apart an aspect of himself, and manifest himself in different ways. Yahowah, the Father, manifests himself by setting apart part of himself in corporeal form as the Son, and part of himself in a spiritual form as the set-apart spirit. In fact, her name describes this relationship, part of him set apart from him to serve us. So he was speaking there as the set-apart spirit. As a matter of fact, he will, in Yahowah, he speaks of the fact that the Comforter who will come will be known to his learners because of the fact that they will recognize her because she is him. So he's speaking here as of the set-apart spirit and the role of the set-apart spirit, wanting to gather her chicks under her wing. But he says, but you were unwilling. So does this convey the will of God?
Well, it's what he wants to do, yes.
Yeah, he said, this is what I wanted to do. This is what I want to do, right?
Another family reference.
Right. I want to, absolutely. Good catch. Yes, a family reference. This has happened to be the family of the hen. And so that's why the hen is reflective of our spiritual mother, the set-apart spirit. And so Yah's will is to have his set-apart spirit protect us under her wings. And, using a bird to depict that, since she flies, carries us up and away to heaven, is good fit, as well as is the reproductive part of this and the caring part of one's children, of producing children and caring and nurturing for children, protecting children, is all part of what the set-apart spirit does and what Yahowah, as our Heavenly Father, and the set-apart spirit do for us.
Yes, sir.
So it's a really good metaphor in this particular case. But he says, The reason this did not occur is because you were unwilling. Now that's really interesting, because the Christian will tell you that Yahowah doesn't care whether or not you are willing or not. He wants to save everyone. He loves everyone. Doesn't he say that God loves everyone?
That's the implication from their point of view.
Yeah, but this doesn't say that, does it?
No,
No, it says that he wanted to gather them together, but he didn't because they were unwilling.
Right.
If you're following a religion that mocks, discounts, discards Yahowah's testimony, his plan, contradicts it, would that be an indication that you're unwilling?
Well, why would he embrace that?
Yeah. If you had to create a new covenant and a new testament, because you didn't like the old covenant and the Old Testament, and you even had to rename the set-apart Spirit the Holy Ghost, and make her a distinct and unique persona. Are you going to recognize her no matter how much she wants to protect you under her wings? Would you be willing under that circumstance, or are you showing that you're defiant?
Well, this worse, you're calling him a liar. When you change it, you're calling him a liar. You say he lied.
Yeah.
Deal. Calling God a liar.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, exactly. That's no other way to look at it. You were unwilling. Behold, your house is being left to you desolate. Desolate means lifeless. That's what it means. To be desolate is to be lifeless. So your home, he's talking about the home that is of those who are religious. This whole diatribe has been specifically at religion and religious leaders, and the hypocrisy and the stupidity and the error and the futility of religion. And he says, as a result, that institution is lifeless. By extrapolation today, it would be every synagogue, every church, every mosque. And since the religion of man is now in the state houses, it would be every state houses and every capital. He says, your institutions, they're lifeless. That's why we dedicate the first hour of our program to the institutions of man. God says they're deadly. We'll be back. Behold, in Hebrew, that would be henna. Pay attention. Your house. In Hebrew, this would be a torpedo to the midsection of the ship. You're correct. Bayeth. What is Bayeth the basis of?
It's the home of the covenant, the family. The
covenant.
The tent.
That is correct. This is a broadside. Your home, your family, to differentiate it from his covenant family. Your family is being left, the Hebrew word to separate from, to be forsaken, to be deserted, to be abandoned, is a zob.
Oh, right.
It's a zob. It's the most condemning of all Hebrew verbs. It means to be separated from God. It means to be damned, to be left lifeless, outside of the relationship. So your house, the human institutions, your house is being azab, being damned. You're being forsaken. And it says, to you, desolate. So he's saying, I'm going to leave your house to you. I'm going to leave your church to you. I'm going to leave your synagogue to you. I'm going to leave your state houses to you. I'm going to leave all of that to you. And it's lifeless. What's the first thing that Yahowah asked of Abraham if he wanted to be part of his covenant family?
Walk away from all that. Very tough.
Yes, specifically, the first thing is walk away from your country, and the second was walk away from your father's house. So he's saying here, you guys, because your religion is one of the traditions of the fathers, I'm going to leave you to your father's house. I'm going to leave you.
Yeah, keep it.
You can have your house. I'll have nothing to do with it. I'm separating myself from your institution, your house, and therefore your house is lifeless. That's a broadside to churches. It's a broadside to mosques. It's a broadside to synagogues. It's a broadside to any human institution, and it is a direct reflection on the basis of the covenant as it's presented in the Torah. Wow. So here is Yosha doing what Yahowah asked of Abraham. Isn't that the case? Yosha is saying, I'm going to leave. I'm going to disassociate from the house of man, human institutions.
Exactly.
That's a powerful, powerful affirmation of the first requirement to participate in the covenant. Yosha is following his own advice. He's doing specifically what Yahowah asked. He said, I'm going to walk away from, I'm going to disassociate from the house of man. Jason has called in. Jason, you're the one that got us into this fix, right? I'm just fascinated by the insights we can glean if we actually pay close attention to what Yosha said and make the connections as he makes these transitions.
Yeah, I'm happy to contribute. I've been listening a long time, so any way I can contribute, I'm happy to do so.
It is a lot more than just removing the quotation marks from the statement that we're going to consider in a moment. The whole context here is so stunningly insightful. He has just said that he's not protecting everyone. He's not trying to save everyone. If you don't want to participate, you aren't going to be protected. You aren't going to be gathered in. He's reinforced the fact that it's Jerusalem that he's focused on, not any place else, and that the religious leaders disassociated themselves from his prophets, those who spoke for him, and that he and the set-apart spirit are one, and that their identity and nature and will is identical. And then he affirms the covenant and explains why religious people are excluded, why they die.
Why they're outside the door.
Yeah, the dead men walking.
Yeah.
That's correct. He says, I'm going to leave you to your house. That means to say that you walk into the door of a church, you're walking away from God. You walk into the door of a mosque, you're saying goodbye to God. You walk into a synagogue, you're saying, I want nothing to do with the creator of the universe. The very places that promise, that preach that they are the means to God, are wholly and completely disassociated from him. Behold, your house, as opposed to his nest, is being left to you. Your church, your state house, your synagogue, your mosque, your temple, your shrine, your capital, your house, man's institutions are being left to you. You have free will. Do what you want. But I'm disassociating from these things. They're being left to you. Desolate. Lifeless. Separated. The Hebrew term for wilderness, desolate, is midbar. It means without the word. It's from debar, and a compound of debar and men, meaning no word. For I say to you, from now on, you shall not see me. That's why I said, you want to walk into a church? You won't ever see God. You'll see statues that purport to be a crucifixion or Mary or saints. But you're looking at men and women. You're looking at statues of men and women. You'll see pictures that purport to be Jesus. You're looking at an artistic rendering of a man that no one knows what he looked like. You're not going to see God. If you want to see God, Kirk, where would you look?
Look in the Torah.
Yeah. That's where he introduces himself. That's where he paints a portrait of himself.
And that's where Yahowah said to go look, too.
That's where he said you'd find him. Absolutely. So he says, you shall not see me until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of Yahowah. Blessed. What is that? What's the Hebrew word for blessed?
Barak.
Barak. It means to get down on one's knees, to lift someone up in love. So this is a picture where they're saying, I want God, Yahowah, to get down on his knees to lift me up in love. One who comes in the name, that would be Shem, in the proper and personal name of Yahowah. So he said here, it's really interesting. He's not telling them that he is leaving lifeless in their house, that they are going to see him. And that's sometimes the implication here, and people don't understand it. They say, well, none of these people saw him again. And some would say, well, this is an implication that he is talking about when he walks into Jerusalem, and you have the fulfillment of the prophecy where they say Hosanna, a poor transliteration of blessed is he who comes in the name of Yahowah. But this is the Olivet Discourse. It's already occurred. So what he's saying here is, if you want to see Yahowah, you better recognize his name. You better know his name. You better use his name. Until you know his name, use his name, understand the role that Barak plays relative to our relationship to him, you won't see him. But if you look in the Torah, Jason,
yeah.
If you observe the Torah, will you see his name? Will you find his name?
Yeah, that's there.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, between the Torah and the prophets, and the Torah is part of the prophets, 7,000 times. So that's how, if you want to see him, that's where you will see him. And here is Yahowah saying that before you will see him, you need to recognize that Yahowah is Yahowah. That he came in Yahowah's name. That he is Yahowah on his knees, Barak. That Yahowah is Yahowah on his knees, coming to help us. That's how you will see him. And only those who recognize that will see him. Now, we then go to what's called the 24th chapter of Matanya. But nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. He says, and Yahowah came out from the temple. So he was differentiating now whose house from whose house. It's a contrast, isn't it? He was in his house. The temple represents the home of Yahowah here on earth, his Bereth family. And so he was in his house. He says, I'm going to leave you to your house. You can have your house. And so he came out of the temple and was going away when the learners, called disciples, came up to the point out of the temple buildings to him. And he answered to them. So, had they asked him a question?
No, they did.
Well, at that point, did they ask a question? He said, he answered them and said to them. I don't recall them asking a question, do you?
No, correct. You're correct. You're correct.
There's no question here. So, is he implying something? What do you think, Jason? When he used the term and he answered, is he implying something that's rather profound?
I don't know.
What is the purpose of the Torah? What does Torah mean?
It's to teach.
It's instruction.
Teach.
So he's providing.
Right. That's exactly right. Teaching provides answers. It teaches you how to find answers. It's Yahowah's answer book. He is the answer. He is the teaching of the Torah. He is Yahowah's answer to what ails humankind. That's all being communicated. So he is presenting himself. He came out of the temple. He's saying, I'm the answer. And don't make a connection here. This is the answer. You can even look at it as the statement that he made, that the only way you're ever going to see him is to recognize that he is Yahowah on his knees, come to us.
It could be, a question could have been omitted. I mean, the New Testament doesn't have the same veracity, but...
Yeah, I don't think so.
Seeing their acquisitiveness in their eyes too. I mean, you can look at somebody when they're looking at you going, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it could have been that, him reading their minds is really, I think, the shallowest possible answer. It could well be that when he walked out, when he made that statement regarding, I'm going to lead you to your house, which they would have recognized was religious institutions, political institutions, the institutions of man. I'm going to leave your houses. I'm not going to associate with them. I'm disassociating from religion and politics. And therefore, you're lifeless. You're going to die. And the only way for you to actually see me is to recognize that I am Yahowah on my knees. And so, when he said that, and I can see them looking at him quizzically and saying, whoa. I mean, you're the one that's predicted in the Torah, prophets, and Psalms, and yet you're telling us that you're not religious and you're not political. You came to Israel at this important time, and you said you're not religious, you're not political. In fact, you're opposed to all those things. Do we have any insight, fellas, that Yahusha is in any way here trying to speak to people that he has given extra special powers of understanding, or are they learners, the disciples? Are they just ordinary people who are learning the same way we learn?
Terribly ordinary.
What do you think, Larry?
I would say that they were people that were just trying to learn like the rest of us. That's what I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In fact, if you look at Abraham and the statements that he made, he's just an ordinary guy. Same exact situation. Well, Larry, I'm sure that your interest was piqued when Jason began this line of insight. That here is what every Christian just wallows all over. They take snippets out of this for their eschatology, for their prophecy classes, and what they missed was Yahusha's extraordinarily anti-religious rhetoric and how he's completely disassociating himself from human institutions.
Well, he absolutely is, and that would go to rabbinic Judaism as well. I mean, when when we hear the word Torah, so many people go, well, that's the first 4 books, it's the first 5 books. They want to debate all this. It's his instructions and teachings, as an example. Noah followed the Torah. He observed it, and he responded to teachings. That's how he built an ark.
Right.
Now,
he was given instructions.
Torah. That is Torah. Abraham, the same thing. And so in fact,
Yahowah says that Abraham had his Torah teaching, his directions. But isn't the first thing that Yahowah gave to Abraham instructions and directions and guidance? Walk away from your country, walk away from your father's house, walk to the place that I am providing. Sounds like instruction and guidance to me.
Yeah, and he accepted that. He accepted the teachings, or the Torah, and the guidance for the Torah, and he established the covenant. I mean, was anything written down? No.
Not that we know of.
Later. You know, but if a person is to believe that the Torah is limited to what's written down, I mean, we're supposed to get our teaching and guidance from that.
Well, let me underscore that. Let me underscore that for a moment. When Yahowah was having this conversation with the disciples and through them to us, was he instructing and teaching us, providing guidance to us?
Yes. Yes, he was.
Did he write it down?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. So is Yahowah capable of providing guidance to us that isn't written down?
Absolutely.
Right. And he only has the things that he says written down later so that they can be more accurately communicated to people no matter where they live and when they live. It's being memorialized in writing, not for the benefit of those who were listening, but for the benefit of the rest of us who weren't there at the time. It puts us in the presence of Yahowah in his company so that we too can benefit from this instruction. So this is all flowing right one thing right from another, and the disciples were curious. So he provided an insight. And he answered and said to them, "Do you not see all of these things?" He didn't answer them, he questioned them. Do you not see all of these things? Did he say, do you not see some of these things? He said all of these things. What comprised all? What things was he just talking about? That's why when people take a verse out of context, they miss everything. What was he talking about? He was talking about his hatred and the specific reasons he despises religion and religious leaders. He was talking about leaving human institutions, walking away from them, just as he asked us to if we wish to participate in the covenant. He's saying that he plays the role of the set-apart spirit and the family, giving birth to and protecting and nurturing his chicks, his children. That he and his Father's house are one, but man's house is lifeless, is separated from him. And that no one will see him unless they first recognize that he is a diminished manifestation of Yahowah. Yahowah on his knees, Barak. And they recognize and use the name. And then he said, and you don't see all of these things. That's our problem, isn't it? We don't focus enough. We aren't thoughtful enough to make these connections. These guys were relatively young. I know when I was their age, I didn't see any of these things. I was just like them. Jason, would you put yourself in that lot? I know that was true for me, and I think it was true for Kirk.
Yeah.
Took me a long time.
I think Yahowah was a bit surprised. He thought maybe these were very sort of elementary conclusions, like having an understanding of it. And that's what
Good for you.
And,
Good for you.
Good for you. I don't consider myself in a bad position because, I'm sort of, at least I'm looking in the right place, and it's enjoyable to find these things out, and the understanding grows. You get a better picture of the entire story.
Double right for you. When Yahowah encountered the two fellows on the road to Emmaus, he says, "What's wrong with you that you don't see these things?" When the women in his they were in his life saw him as he was beginning his celebration and fulfillment of Bakurim, and what was his response? Wasn't he kind of just, how is it that you can't recognize me? Why in the world do you think I'm the gardener? When he walked into the empty room, was he not flabbergasted that they didn't know who he was just because he had a different appearance? Yeah, I agree. Jason, you're absolutely right. It's hard for God to understand how it is that we're so preoccupied, we have this failure to observe, which is to know, and then to make the connection so as to understand. We have this failure to understand such rudimentary concepts, such basic concepts to the Torah, to the covenant, to who Yahowah is. And they're simple. And once you know them, I mean, I'm going to tell you, my view is identical to Yosha's. I'm wondering how in the world did I miss this stuff? It's so obvious. It's so clear. It's so profound. I even scold myself for being dumb. That's what he's doing. He's saying, how in the world can you miss this?
Don't add or take away from it, because you can steer somebody so easily in the wrong direction when it's edited.
Yeah. I also think that, Jason, you're right, that we're in a right place now. We're in a really good place.
Well, thanks. I was looking further into, like you were saying, how we kind of left it as, is calling him Messiah completely errant or not? I did find, and this is out of the Christian Babel, as I call it. So, it's not definitive, but there is on the 16th chapter where Peter says, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God," and Yahusha says, "Yeah, you got that one right." So
and he could have used, and it's very possible that Shimon Kepesh could have said that you are the HaMashiach. He could have said you are HaMashiach, the representative, the Son of the living God. And so long as he used it as a adjective, he would have been consistent with what is said in Daniel, that he is one who is set apart and prepared to serve as a messenger.